Right, Mandy Shaw's with me today. Now, you know what? A lot of people go, redwork direct. A lot of us don't know what redwork is. Before I met this woman, I certainly didn't know what it was. So, very quickly, what's redwork?
Redwork is an outline drawing that is stitched in red.
Is it only ever done in red, or is that a silly question?
Well, redwork is red because of a reason, because you couldn't get...
Because of a reason?
Yeah, because you in Tudor times you have black work.
Right.
So you can use any colour you like.
Oh, yes, I remember that on the dresses and things.
So it's very similar. Black work's very similar, but it's counted, I think, is a bit more accurate. But what happened was that you couldn't get a red dye to not run or fade.
Right.
And red silk dyed beautifully, but red cotton didn't, and only poorer people could, the lesser people could use cotton. And so when they developed a dye that was colour fast and didn't run, the whole world went crazy for red.
Oh, okay.
So it became a sort of fashion trend.
Yes.
And so red work became very popular.
And never gone away.
And it's had its resurgences.
Yes.
It's had its up peaks and troughs.
Like
and actually, I feel I peaked. I'm peaking.
No, peak too early.
Don't peak too early. And I think there's quite a few people doing red work now, which they weren't in this country. But the American have taken it by storm.
Oh, okay.
It's an American story, but actually it started off, its roots lay in our Royal School of Needlework.
Right.
And the simple outline stitch. The Royal School of Needlework was set up to empower people, young women, to earn themselves a living using stitcheries.
Right.
And instead of using elaborate silk embroideries for the crown and things, they were taught how to make things that they could sell for themselves. And this outline stitch, these little outline drawings were developed and then they were stitched. And the resurgence of the red thread coming through the outline drawings and the red thread.
So how did you discover it or first start with it?
I have a passion for old things.
Your neckerchief's just fallen off.
Oh, should we take it off?
Yeah.
Sorry, what's next?
Oh!
And I have a passion for old things. I love old quilts. I'm passionate about old quilts. And when I was in America, I bought a 1920s redwork quilt.
Right.
And I thought, God, this is gorgeous. What's this story? And what happened in America, they were selling little squares for pence, and they were redwork squares, and they were called penny squares. And then you'd collect like animals or horses, birds, household presidents, all sorts of things they would draw as outline designs, and you collect them, and then you'd make a penny square quilt, and that's what the first quilt was that I bought.
Oh wow!
And
where is it?
It's actually hanging up. It's actually on my bed upstairs, but this one is the one I bought recently. This is one I bought recently. This is 1920 again. So this is 100 years old.
Oh my word! I thought this was one of yours.
Yeah, no, so this is 1886.
Well, it's not 1920 at all then.
So 80. Well,
that square was 1886.
This square designed was, but they became very, very popular in the 1920s,
right.
which is a sort of 30 years
Are these
later.
stains or 1920 stains?
Yeah, I actually imagine they are.
Yeah.
But this is strange because this is a penny square quilt.
Oh, so this would have been your penny.
They were never actually sold for a penny, for pence, but
right.
they were called penny square quilts.
Yeah.
And the little shop owners would either sell the squares pre-printed, and later on when the iron-on transfers became available, you could buy the iron-on transfer.
Right.
But this is the penny square quilt. And actually, this is a recent acquisition. I bought this one in Alsace. But if you look at it, it's not very well done.
But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
No,
when it's
I think it's delightful, but it's very heavily quilted. So I think 2 or 3 people made it.
Right.
Some of them are very poorly done, and do you know what I mean? So I think it was a group effort.
Now, also the writings, that's in English.
Yeah, but wasn't Jumbo an American cartoon thing?
Oh, I don't know.
Someone said to me that this elephant, Jumbo, spelt like that, was a character in a cartoon.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's interesting. When you go through there's some really scary people on this one. The cow jumped over the middle.
Yes, she's even got an udder look.
Yeah. But so this is what a penny square quilt would look like, and there's a nice little date,
1913. I see. So they've used old designs.
Yes,
the lyrebird. Yeah.
So this is what a penny square quilt would have looked like.
But then you bought that in France.
No, I bought the first one in America, and I bought this in France and Alsace from an American textile dealer. So it's definitely American.
Yes, I thought you'd gone to a little shop in Alsace and they'd had it on the wall or something.
We didn't make things like this in this country. We were stitching beautiful, gorgeous things, but this is a classic American design.
Okay.
And that inspired me to make my very own.
Right.
And from that very own inspiration, I then wrote this book called Simply Redwork.
Right.
And it tells the story about how red threads. And that book here, these are from the book.
Oh, so there's projects in. It's not
Yes,
just a history
yes,
book.
yes,
There's projects.
yes,
I'll just
yeah.
show you very quickly. Look, there's projects in the book of Mandy's work in there.
And so I thought I would do my own penny squares,
Yes.
but with a theme. And so even though you might just see that there's a heart, there's their hands and the holly leaves and scissors and things, they all have a story. So this scissor block is all about Ernest Wright and Sons, the scissor manufacturer.
Oh,
in
yes,
Sheffield.
yes,
You
yes,
heard
yes,
about them,
yes, yeah.
And they were down to 2 apprentices, weren't they? And one was about to retire, and it's been taken over by a Dutchman now, and they have resurrected Ernest Wright's. And they're making scissors in Sheffield once again. So each story, each little block has a story about whatever's in. Like the polar. When I made this, we had a big issue with David Attenborough about how polar bears were endangered.
Oh, is that what they are?
They're polar bears, John.
Oh, okay.
What did you think they were, John?
I wasn't quite sure.
Did you look?
I looked. I thought it was koala
glasses
bear.
on today?
No, I've got my glasses.
And so we've got doves and keys, and the tells you a little history about the keys and locks and things.
So now this is your own. This is not for sale. This is a personal
No, this is from the book. This is all in the
okay,
book,
okay.
yeah,
Oh,
and
yes, on the
it's in
front cover of the book, yeah.
Front cover of the book. And actually,
Yeah.
the one on the book, that's it. That's right, and that's 9. But there is a pattern for a 16-block one as well.
Oh, wow.
But so this book tells you all the history, my version of the history of Redwork.
And the book's available
The book's
on your
available,
website.
and
Brilliant.
yes, the book's available
Okay,
on the website.
fantastic.
So that was one of the little quilts. That's how that.
So
book
that's
started.
tradition. That's like a square with a red outline
yeah.
that you follow with
Yeah.
an outline that you follow with a red stitch.
Yeah, and so that's an original 1920s version of something, and this
Yeah.
is Mandy's version
of the
It is
same thing, yeah.
And so, of course, once I did this, and the quilt was so popular, the original quilt and the book was very popular, I thought, oh, this is so easy, and that's another version of it, but I just got a different setting. This is sort of a
Yeah, so you
nice
can
actually.
mix and match it
Oh,
with your patchwork as well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't forget, it doesn't matter. You can do this purple, pink, or grey. It doesn't,
Yes,
it doesn't
yes,
matter
yes.
at all.
Yeah.
There's no problem with that at all. It's just I happen to love red as well, which is quite handy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So then of course, I just went mad. I stitched everything. This was in a different colourway. This is Time for Tea, but we stitched this. I used a finer thread for this one. We tend to use DMC cotton or brode.
Yeah.
But this one I used a slightly finer thread.
Okay, my quick question then
Yeah.
here is, obviously these are done on little squares.
Yes.
Do you do them in a hoop on a bigger square and then cut it down?
No, I don't use a hoop.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, I don't. But it doesn't matter that I don't, and it doesn't matter if you do.
Right.
Okay, so people do like to use a hoop. I don't use
Yeah.
a hoop. But I just cut the squares slightly bigger to size, stitch them.
Okay.
But this were the days when we didn't have iron on. I didn't have iron on transfer, so we used to have to trace.
so it's quite
things.
old, this
yes,
one,
yes.
then?
Yeah. Well, the design is quite
Yeah.
old. The original design was a coloured one.
Yeah.
But we've now got wonderful iron on transfers that you can use, which are lovely.
Now, I don't know if you've got them on your website at the moment, but sometimes you just sell the transfers on their own,
We
don't
do,
you?
we
Because
do.
a lot of people love the kit, because you're
Yes.
famous for your hearts, aren't
yeah,
you? And
yeah.
I've got 2 of these in my lounge
Yeah.
that Gerardine actually
Yeah.
made for me. And these are collector's pieces, aren't they?
Yeah.
So sometimes people want the whole kit, but other times people, like you say, don't want it in a red, they want it in different
Yes, so you
colours.
can just have
So
a
you can
patch,
just
yeah.
buy the transfer
Yeah.
and do it yourself, sort of
Yeah,
thing. And not make a heart out of it. You could leave it on a square.
Well, actually, yeah, I should have shown you something we've been doing lately. So we're quite famous. I've just bought the Eastery ones out. Look, we're quite
Oh,
famous
yes,
for
yeah.
our Easter. Actually, there's a hoop here. Oh, yes. So that's what I was going to show. It's very interesting. So these are our hanging hearts. We bring half a dozen of these out every year.
Yeah.
That's our Easter one. But I actually did make it again. I made it and put it in a frame.
So is that same?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I can see the heart there, yeah.
So it's exactly the same, but I didn't make it into heart. I put it into frame and added an extra border around.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
So that's just using the transfer
Yeah.
from that kit. There's
Yeah.
the bunny. In fact, all of that is identical to
Yeah.
the heart, isn't
Yeah.
it? Like you're saying, then you've just done, is that a feather stitch?
It's a feather stitch on the outside edge. So you could have made that into a square cushion.
Yes.
I've got hundreds of those as well. So,
Yeah.
and don't forget, each transfer can go up to 6 times.
Right.
So-
Yeah, but you've got to remember, use a hot iron,
Flat surface.
flat surface, don't use a squidgy ironing board. It's better to use a wooden cutting board with a tea towel on top of it. Once you've got the thing in place, don't keep moving it because your lines will move.
And don't forget, if it's not working, I promise you, it's something you're doing. Your iron's not hot enough. So we've got lots of these. Like I Love Redwork.
So have you got more of these coming out? Have you got more of these in here already?
Oh yes, yeah. We do 6 new designs every year, at least 6 new designs. So we've got a new one coming out very shortly for the Easter ones.
Fantastic.
So that's the hanging hearts. That's last year's Easter one. Look, but we also made that up in the Easter colours as well. So you don't have to have it redwork. We can.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think I've seen you do.
No, you wouldn't have done because it's difficult to kit because I have to put lots of different threads in.
Oh yes, yes, of course it is. So people, if they've got the transfer, can then go off with their own kit.
Yeah.
And what thread do you? If people...
Cotton and brode, DMC cotton and brode.
Yeah.
Cotton and brode. So that's, and then we've just got the other thing I'd love to talk to you about.
Yeah, very quick. We're about to run out of
It's our
time.
Redwork Club.
Oh, okay.
We have a wonderful Redwork Club, and this is what they did last year in the Redwork Club. They made this. It's 12 blocks, and they had lots of little treats and things.
So they buy a block a month.
They buy a block a month, and it turned out to be this. And this is going to be transformed into a lovely book for them.
On your website. Oh.
On the website. So you can join the Secret Society on the website.
Okay. So basically, go to Dandelion Designs and see everything that Mandy does. Thank you ever so much for your time.
Thank you,
We're going for cake now.
Yeah.
Apparently, she's not used gluten-free flour.